When the Shen family found me, I was helping the neighbor's old lady water the fields. While I was concentrating on my work, the little sister of the neighbor suddenly shouted loudly, "Sister Ting Ting, someone is looking for you!" I paused, slightly doubtful. My experiments have been going very well lately, and no one should have come looking for me during this vacation. I greeted the old lady and waded through the water step by step to the shore. In the not-so-harsh sunlight, and the farmers dressed simply, even a little dirty. The family standing opposite looked too noble and elegant. Seeing the middle-aged couple dressed neatly when she saw my face, Tongsi suddenly twitched. "I'm Shen Ting." I nodded. The next second, the noble woman among them took 2 quick steps to hug me, but when she saw me covered in mud, she stopped, her smile forced. "Ting Ting, it's Mum. Mum is your biological mother this time. It's my turn to be stunned." The young man behind me, who had been holding back for a while now, couldn't hold back anymore, rushed forward to carefully evaluate me, and then smiled brightly. "You're really my sister. That's great, much better than that green tea thing. My name is Shen Lin, your real brother. As for why we got separated, it's because that year Mum's love rival was jealous of Mum, because Mum was beautiful and had a good husband, so she mixed you up with her daughter." At this point, he curled his lips. "I've been wondering how could my sister have such virtue. It turns out it was because of the move. Luckily, I was smart, secretly did a DNA test, and finally exposed the truth." I noticed that when Shen Lin said this, the couple and the pretty girl standing next to her both looked embarrassed. Even the girl's eyes were red. Tears were glistening in her beautiful eyes, but hadn't fallen yet. She choked up. "It's my fault making Thien have to be away from her parents for so long. It's all my fault." Upon hearing that, the couple immediately panicked and coaxed her. Yue, you can't be blamed for this. You're also a victim. Don't listen to A. Lin's nonsense. She's just too happy to have found her sister. From now on, we'll live well together. Even if Ting Ting comes back, you'll still be your parents' treasure. See, even the best sack can't hold as much as she does." As she spoke, Shen Lin patted my shoulder, her face full of glee. "From now on, you won't be the only one in the house who can smell the green tea anymore." I glanced at Shen Yue's pitiful face and the heartbroken eyes of the Shen couple nodding in agreement. Parents like this, yet they want to be smart. It's true that only this little brother still has some brains. The Shen family originally wanted to take me away right away, but I refused. The reason was that I still had to water and dry the leaves first. The Shen family looked at each other and advised in unison, "Ting Ting, you don't need to be like this. Our family is very well off, you'll know when you get home. You don't need to do such hard work." This, Mr. Shen looked around disdainfully, his eyes filled with disdain. "You are the daughter of the Shen family. Why do you need to do such hard manual labor and earn so little money?" The people around were angry when they heard this. Shen Yue also lightly snorted weakly, saying, "That's right, I don't need to do these things. These hardships should be borne by you." After she finished speaking, she burst into tears again, tears rolling down her beautiful face, creating a weak and fragile appearance. The Shen couple saw this scene and felt even more heartbroken, hugging her in their arms to comfort her gently. Seeing this scene, I clenched my fist, sneering. "Hey, are you guys acting out a family tragedy?" I pointed at myself, my voice cold. "I haven't even cried yet, and you're already crying for me. Do you feel like this flower hasn't been watered enough, so you want to cry it into the Pacific Ocean to make it enough?" Furthermore, I coldly emphasized each word. "You guys are not eating vegetables from the trash, but dog shit, saying that you are guilty. If you really felt guilty, you should have run away from me the first day you knew the truth. Now that you are here crying and acting, do you really want me to not see you as a human being?" My mouth did not give them time to breathe, continuously attacking, making the Shen family's whole body tremble. They pointed at me. "Why are you so uneducated?" I sneered. "Education is for those who deserve it. Are you worthy too?" After saying that, I lazily glanced only to see my whole body filled with hatred. Shen Lin blinked and looked at the Shen couple, who were so angry that their eyes were shining. He let go of the curious neighbor girl's ear and conveniently pinched the little girl's head that she hated. Then when I turned around to continue watering, he trotted after me, even asking me to lend him a pair of boots. In the end, the only scene left was the Shen family and Shen Yue standing still. No one was hungry anymore, so they had to leave dejectedly, leaving behind a husky who was full of energy and causing trouble in the village. I pinched my nose, feeling empty inside. Oh, it seemed like the peaceful days would no longer exist. It was true. Even though I had lost all face, the Shen couple still insisted on me returning. Now the news that Shen Yue was fake had spread in the upper class. Even if it was just for the sake of face, they still had to take her back. That was Shen Lin's explanation. After hearing that, I also resolutely packed my luggage and got in the car to go with them. Otherwise, if they kept bothering me like today, I definitely wouldn't be able to stand it. When I returned to the Shen family the first few days, I almost just stayed in my room, didn't go out, and didn't communicate with anyone. It wasn't until Shen Lin knocked on my door. "You've been locking yourself in your room like this for the past few days. Don't you feel suffocated?" I glanced at him, yawning. "I've been busy reviewing my university thesis, burying my head in my thesis all day. My whole body is tired. Where is the mind to go out? Sister staying in the room all the time is not good. Come out and take a walk with me." I thought about it and felt that it was fine. If I keep being locked up like this, I'm about to suffocate to death. He was excited, taking the opportunity to let Sister admire my majestic appearance. As a result, his majestic appearance was nowhere to be seen, only a complete scene of humiliation. It turned out that today Shen Lin had arranged to race with someone. It wasn't a big deal, it was just a bunch of rich kids playing hard to get. That was if Shen Yu didn't show up, if the opponent wasn't a professional racer, if they didn't bet that the loser would have to dance ridiculously and shout out the sentence, "Death is decided." I was helpless and bored. They changed the racer and you guys still agreed to compete. It wasn't originally stated that you couldn't change. I sighed helplessly. At that moment, a gentle voice rang out. "Ting Ting Alin, you guys are here too." I raised my head and happened to see Shen Yue standing next to a man wearing a professional racing suit, smiling brightly. She smiled sweetly. "Ting Ting also came to watch the race. Great, the person next to you is a professional racer and will also be participating in the competition today." As soon as she finished speaking, Shen Lin's anger exploded. "Damn it, Shen Yue, you dare to secretly play dirty tricks on me!" Shen Yue's eyes flashed with pride, but she pretended to be wronged on the surface. "Ah, Lin, how can you say that I'm just helping a friend, inviting a good racing acquaintance? I just found out about the bet and the competition is about to start. I didn't have time to stop it." "Fuck, I didn't have time to stop it." Shen Lin cursed loudly, almost losing all reason. I quickly stopped her. "Don't stop me, I'll definitely risk my life with this green tea girl today." "What risk?" I said coldly. "Winning is enough. If others can change people, I can too. Don't you have someone in front of you?" "Don't worry, there's no fee." Shen Lin was stunned. Shen Yue was also a little surprised. I calmly faced their stunned gazes. Shen Yue quickly reacted, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Of course you can change people, but listen, if you lose, you have to accept the punishment. You should know what the punishment is, right?" The malice in her eyes almost overflowed. I looked back coldly. "If you lose, she will also be punished. If I'm not mistaken, she was the one who intentionally arranged it, and she secretly planned the punishment. That's fair. I know very well that Shen Yue targeted Shen Lin this time because he was on my side before. The root cause is me. I cannot shirk responsibility, but I am not the type to be bullied. If she dares to play tricks, I will make her cry and leave." Shen Yue hesitated, but in the end she was overwhelmed by the illusion of victory. She gritted her teeth and said, "Okay, don't use the fact that you are a girl to go back on your word." I smiled faintly and didn't say much. I directly grabbed the car key from Shen Lin's hand, pulled the door open and got into the car. Shen Lin almost cried and clung to the window. No, sister, what are you doing? Looking at his stubborn appearance, I rarely softened my heart and reluctantly comforted her. Don't worry, you will win. After all, the title of Autumn and Winter Car God is not without substance. After saying that, I headed straight for the track. When the starting signal sounded amidst everyone's astonished gazes, I dashed away like lightning. My hands tightened on the steering wheel, my feet nimbly switched between the gas and the brake. When I reached a dangerous corner, I maintained my speed past my professional opponent and conveniently swept out a beautiful slide. All my spirit was focused on the steering wheel. The engine roared in the wind. I rushed straight towards the finish line. Cheers rang out as I crossed the finish line. Signaling victory was mine. I took a deep breath, leisurely opening the car door. As soon as I stepped out, I saw the husky Shen Lin charging towards me, howling along with Shen Yue, her face pale, her eyes devoid of all light. I hated Shen Lin the most, stepped aside, raised my eyebrows, and leisurely whistled towards Shen Yue, whose face was as pale as paper. Now that you've lost and accepted punishment, you know what you should do, right? She forced a smile, about to open her mouth to say something, but I interrupted her. It's okay if you don't remember, I've already recorded it anyway. I took out my phone and immediately played Shen Yue's sweet, piercing voice. Don't use the fact that you're a girl to go back on your word. I imitated it. The tone was sarcastic. Don't use the fact that you're a girl to go back on your word. Shen Yue clenched her lips, her hands gripping the hem of her clothes until her nails dug into her flesh. I took out the camera I had just found again. Adjusting the resolution was an okay move. All right, let's go. Shen Yue was still frozen. I started to lose my patience. She should know very well what the Shen couple would think if they found out about today's matter. Her grip on my hand tightened. Under the scrutinizing gazes of the surrounding people, Shen Yue stiffly carried out the conditions of the bet. I stood there indifferently listening to the mocking laughter around me, not even blinking. If I lost today, Shen Yue would definitely laugh mercilessly, so I didn't need to pretend to be compassionate. Shen Yue bit her lips until blood flowed out, tears streaming down her face. She finally couldn't take it anymore. I calmly interjected, that's right, remember to add the phrase, I'm an idiot, in this part. As for the other part, remember to say that Shen Yue is the ugliest person in the world. Finally, before Shen Yue fainted from anger, the long and brutal punishment ended. She staggered to her feet, glared at me and Shen Lin with hatred, and ran away in a hurry. I clapped my hands and nodded in satisfaction. Well, that's how it should be, a deterrent. Sure enough, after that car race, Shen Yue became much more obedient. I was also left alone, concentrating on reading the essays, among which there was one that really caught my attention. The essay was highly creative. The research topic was advanced. The writer showed her independent research ability and sharp thinking. Although still a bit immature, she was already extremely excellent. But when I saw the author's name at the end of the essay Shen Yue, I was a bit stunned, without needing to confirm that it was the Shen Yue I knew. I sighed immediately, called the person in charge, and requested a thorough investigation of the real author of the essay. It's not that I look down on Shen Yue, but her sharp use of words and concise writing style is definitely not her style. If it's plagiarism, then let the law handle it. If it's really her writing, then I'll arrange for another professor to guide her to avoid further conflicts. After thinking it through, I felt much better. I casually sent Shen Yue a message and then went to sleep. The next day, when I went downstairs, I saw the Shen family gathered in the living room, loudly praising Shen Yue. I couldn't help but be stunned. As expected of her father's daughter, even that difficult academician valued her. I must study well in the future and not disappoint the academician's expectations. I took out my phone and looked at it. I was 100% sure. I had never said a word about wanting to accept Shen Yue as my student. I tilted my head and thought for the first time I felt deeply, so this was how the lie was formed. Just because I sent me a thesis, she claimed to be my student. How funny! I hadn't even confirmed whether the paper was hers or not. I lazily rolled my eyes, intending to quietly go upstairs, but unexpectedly I was stopped. Shen's mother said with a proud face, "Ting Ting, look how good our Yue is. Even the academician praised that paper. You've lived in the countryside all this time. You probably don't know who academician Shen is. He's one of the greatest physicists of this century. He's won many awards." Wow. Shen's father also quickly added, "And that academician is famous for being very strict, yet Yue is still praised by her, proving that Yue is truly outstanding. You have to learn a lot from her in the future. Don't embarrass our family. I just want to say thank you. But I think when the truth is revealed, you won't have time to cry." Hearing those words, Shen Yue felt a little embarrassed, covering her face with her hands. Parents keep praising her like that she feels so embarrassed. But listen, if you have any difficulties in studying in the future, just come to me. I can help. After all, education in the countryside is worse. It's understandable that your education level is a little lower. Seeing them so well matched, I couldn't help but laugh. I choked on my laughter and leisurely replied, "First, now that the internet is so developed, if there's anything I don't know, I can look it up myself. I don't need you guys here to explain it to me like you're so educated. Second, who did I grow up in the countryside for? You guys must have forgotten, and you're still so kind to your rival's illegitimate child. What a generous heart." The Shen family's expressions immediately changed, especially Shen's mother. She couldn't forget how that rival had harmed her that year. Thinking of this, she slightly loosened her grip on Shen Yue's hand, and her eyes also became hazy as she looked towards Mr. Shen. Mr. Shen and Shen Yue's expressions simultaneously became unsightly. Third, I smiled with satisfaction and glanced at Shen Yue meaningfully. "Are you that sure that the academician will accept you as a student?" Shen Yue looked startled for a moment, but quickly calmed down. Actually, academician Shen had already told her, saying that she could directly participate in the experiment, and she would probably be busy in the lab often in the future. She looked at the Shen couple shyly. Perhaps she wouldn't be able to be with her parents much in the future. Hearing this, Shen's mother immediately became agitated and squeezed Shen Yue's hand again. "Really, what Yue is fine. You are like this. I am so happy that I can't wait to turn to Mr. Shen. We have to hold a celebration party for Yue. This is truly a big, happy event, Mr. Shen also happily agreed, only I noticed that when Mother Shen happily talked about holding the party, both Mr. Shen and Shen Yu simultaneously breathed a sigh of relief. I raised my eyebrows. I had never noticed before, but today, looking closely, I saw that father and son really had many strange similarities. And reality proved that in this world, there are many people who look alike, but when living under the same roof, it is difficult to deny that they are not blood relatives. I held the DNA test results in my hand and finally couldn't help but sigh. The Shen family really had one problem after another. After careful consideration, I decided to tell Shenlin in advance so that he could prepare himself. Thinking was doing, I immediately knocked on Shenlin's door and quickly went in and slammed the door. Shenlin was so scared that his eyes widened, instinctively hugging me. "Sis, we are real sisters." I raised my hand to slap him and put the test results down in front of me. After reading it, "Remember to stay calm." Tam Lam took it. His face was confused and he was still smiling happily. "DNA test results." "It's familiar." But when he saw the words below, the smile on his face immediately disappeared without a trace. After the test, it was determined that Tam Lap Trak was Tam Nguyet's biological father. Tam Lap Trak was Tam's father. Tham Lam's whole body trembled and he also stuttered. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" I stroked his head with pity. I did it 3 times, and the results were the same. He immediately knelt down on the ground and hugged my legs, crying like rain. "I'm so stupid. I thought that my father only loved his daughter, so he favoured Shen Yue more. I didn't expect that he had an affair and even gave birth to her before me. Oh, my sister, if I had known earlier that he was this kind of person, I wouldn't have endured all these years. What a scum of a man, what a waste of love." I twitched the corner of my mouth. Why did it sound more and more wrong? After Shen Lin finished crying, my spirit stabilized. I asked, "What are you going to do?" He wiped his tears, gritted his teeth. "What else exposed the truth? But I can't expose it now, otherwise that old man will definitely cover it up." Shen Lin's eyes became determined. He had to wait until Shen Yue's celebration party unmask him in front of everyone so that the news could spread. I didn't have any feelings for Mr. Shen, and I didn't want to interfere in this matter, so I let him decide for himself. That moved Shen Lin to tears, patting his chest and promising, "Don't worry, I will definitely do it in a big way, making him lose all his dignity, not even his underwear. Waiting for the pants is fine, taking them all off is a bit blinding." I don't know how Shen Lin plans to expose Mr. Shen, but the celebration party has arrived. Mother Shen and Shen Yue happily choose clothes, while Mr. Shen stands by smiling. Meanwhile, Shen Lin sits opposite me with a gloomy look on his face as if the world is collapsing. I raise my eyebrows, finally unable to bear it any longer. I raise my hand and hit him hard on the head, waking you up. He immediately holds his head with tears in his eyes and screams successfully, attracting the eyes of the other three. Realizing that she has gone too far, Mother Shen awkwardly coughs. "It's about to start, let's go out." After saying that, she linked arms with Shen Yue, elegantly walking out to attend the banquet. The banquet was very grand. The Shen couple wished they could invite the whole city to show off. Everyone raised their glasses, smiling brightly as they went forward to flatter the couple and Shen Yue. A lady covered her mouth and laughed. "I heard that today there are also people from the National Institute of Science coming here. They must be giving our Ye some face." The Shen couple's faces immediately turned red, although they were modest on the surface. "We just heard the news and we were scared to death. Actually, we didn't discipline him much, but this kid was both smart and hardworking, and he was lucky enough to be noticed by the academician. Everyone around was praising him, and the flattery kept flying, making Shen Yue feel as if she was about to fly. Shen Lin curled his lips, secretly stabbing the puppet in his heart. I glanced at him, knowing that this brat was holding back, waiting for a show of criticism. Otherwise, he would have rushed out to argue a long time ago. At this time, Shen Yue sent off the gossipy women, elegantly holding a glass of wine and walking in front of me. Listen, see now, do you understand the difference between us?" She leaned close to my ear, whispering in a soft but malicious voice. "Trash will always be trash. Even if you put on a layer of real gold, it won't change anything." I grabbed her wrist and squeezed it tightly. Looking at Shen Yue's face twisted in pain, I smiled coldly. She was right. The fake gold layer, no matter how polished, would be useless. No matter where he went, he couldn't be honest. Shen Yue's face stiffened for a moment. Just as she was about to open her mouth, the door of the villa suddenly opened, and an old man with silver hair, a sharp demeanor like a knife, and an intimidating aura walked in. His eyes swept around, and as soon as he saw me, he locked onto his prey like an eagle, completely ignoring the Shen couple who were enthusiastically welcoming him. He walked straight towards me. The people around were talking excitedly. Oh my God, did the Science Institute value the Shen family that much? The Shen couple became even more proud, holding their heads high, immersed in an imaginary halo. Some people even looked at Shen Yue and me, regretfully shaking their heads. Compared to Yue, this real young lady is really too ordinary. Shen Yue was stunned for a moment, then her eyes lit up. She quickly adjusted her dress, smiling sweetly to welcome the academician. But the next second, the old man didn't even look at her, walked straight towards me, raised his hand and twisted my ear. "Shensing, your leave is over. Do you know that? Quickly roll back to the lab and work for me." I cried out in pain, immediately asking for release. The old man snorted coldly and let go. While we were talking, the atmosphere in the hall seemed to freeze. No one dared to breathe loudly. Everyone was frozen in place. After a long silence, Mother Shen trembled and asked, "Old Jie Shen Ting, do you know her?" The old man frowned, his face cold. "This is a stubborn student, and also the last disciple I personally accepted." As soon as the words were spoken, everyone's faces turned as white as paper. Everyone knew that Shen Ting was an outstanding physics genius and also the last most precious student of old academician Ji. I looked at the faces of those people who looked like they had just been hit on the head and saw Shen Yue pale as if she was about to faint. I smiled, slightly lowered my head and said, "I am Shen Ting, the academician you just bragged about, will accept you as a disciple." Shen Yue's face was filled with panic, her eyes were bewildered and evasive. I continued to speak leisurely. "That essay was indeed excellent. I originally intended to accept the author of that essay as my disciple, but the person I wanted to accept was the real author." After speaking, I immediately took out my phone and connected to the big screen in the hall. A girl dressed in simple clothes appeared in front of everyone. She looked quite nervous, took a deep breath and slowly opened her mouth. "Hello everyone, my name is Yunqi. Just like Shen Yue, we are both students at Beijing University. Not only that, we also studied under the same teacher. Actually, Shen Yue and I normally don't have much of a relationship, but one day when I had just finished my graduation thesis, Shen Yue took the initiative to come to me for the first time. Speaking up to hear the girl choked up, she asked me to give her the thesis. At first, of course, I didn't agree, but just the next day, my father was suddenly fired from the company. My mother was also accidentally hit by a car and is now in the hospital. She told me that if I didn't listen tomorrow, I would lose everything. I was scared, really scared my parents had not yet been repaid by me. I couldn't let them go. So I signed the contract to voluntarily donate my thesis. The girl finally bowed her head to the camera, her voice trembling. She clearly understood that it was her own helplessness and weakness that caused this academic fraud in the first place. She was extremely grateful to the country and the academicians who gave her a chance. So to repay them, she thought that the mistake she made should also be ended by herself. The video ended and the entire hall fell silent. The already silent atmosphere became even heavier and more suffocating. Shen Yue's face was pale. She sat on the ground muttering, unable to believe the current situation. The Shen couple finally gradually calmed down after the series of shocks, but their hearts were still aching because Shen Yue wanted to step forward to help her up, but was coldly stopped by Shen Lin. His sharp eyes stared at Mr. Shen, his voice full of tenderness. "Why are you feeling sorry for your own daughter now?" Shen's mother was speechless. She turned to look at Shen Lin, her voice trembling with disbelief. "Ah Lin, what are you saying? How could Yue is the biological child of your father?" But the next second she was completely speechless. Because Tam Lam learned from me and projected all the evidence directly onto the screen. The DNA test results showed that Tam's father was having an affair. The photo of him taking Tam Nguyen to meet his biological mother showed that Mr. Tam helped Tam Nguyen steal her thesis. Everything was clear. I was a little surprised that Tam Lam had investigated so much. I turned to look at Tam's mother and saw that after the initial moment of confusion, her eyes immediately turned crazy. She rushed to punch and kick Mr. Tam crazily, grabbed Tam Nguyen's hair tightly and pulled it hard and kept cursing vulgarly, as if the person in front of her was not her husband and child, but an enemy who killed her father and took her mother. Everyone around was scared. No one dared to stop her until the teachers in the hall couldn't stand it anymore and sent someone to intervene. After this incident, the Shen family's reputation was completely ruined. That day's banquet was originally attended by powerful people, all of whom were extremely knowledgeable about the times. Realizing that the Shen family had offended me, they immediately withdrew all cooperation with the Shen family. The Shen family's stock price plummeted. Shen's mother cried and demanded a divorce, desperately fighting for shares, further accelerating the family's collapse. As for me, I did not participate in anything at all. I devoted all my mind to scientific research. 3 months later, Shen's mother finally stopped me right in front of the gate of the Scientific Institute. She was haggard and thin-looking, 20 years older. When she saw me, her eyes lit up and she quickly walked over. I turned back to greet Yunqi, signaling her to go first. Since that day's banquet, Yunqi officially joined my laboratory, contributing to the country's physics career with me. Mother Shen and I went to a coffee shop together. She was so nervous that she kept holding her coffee cup with both hands, looking like she wanted to say something, but stopped. The situation was a bit chaotic last time, but now the opportunity was just right. Sign it. I took out the paper from my pocket to sever the relationship and placed it on the table, looking straight at her calmly. Sign it. All grudges end here. Mother Shen's face immediately turned pale, her lips trembled, tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. She tried to suppress her emotions, forcing a smile. Ting Ting, I know you hate me, but can you give me another chance? I didn't answer, just coldly shook my head. Her collapse was almost immediate. Mother Shen started to stutter, crying and complaining about being deceived by Mr. Shen, while madly cursing Shen Yue's biological mother. She hated that woman for taking away her husband, causing her to be separated from her biological child for so many years. But the bias is inherently her own choice. When she calmed down a bit, I still coldly pushed the paper to cut off the relationship in front of her, opened my mouth again. Sign it. She knew there was no way back, wiped her tears, her face full of bitterness, tremblingly held the pen, signed her name on the paper. I was satisfied and put it away, turned around and walked away. When I was about to leave the shop, I remembered something turned around. Oh, right, Shen Lin has been very interested in agriculture recently. His talent is also good. If he enters the agricultural industry in the future, I hope you don't interfere. Actually, even I didn't expect that. Just because he picked me up that time and helped water the fields, this brat would love agriculture so deeply. After knowing my identity, after being shocked for a while, he cried out, "When I enter the Agricultural Science Institute in the future, remember to support me." At that time, I almost rolled my eyes in surprise. "You brat, you haven't even entered university yet, but you're already daydreaming." As a result, I coldly gave him a head knock. "Bean and talk later." Mother Shen was a little surprised, but right now she was in a good motherly mood. She would definitely agree. I was satisfied and prepared to go out, but at that moment a familiar figure rushed over with messy hair, wearing a restaurant staff uniform, holding a cake knife in his hand and stabbing straight at me. I didn't have time to react. My eyes widened, only feeling the sharp blade of the knife penetrate deep into my stomach, blood gushing out. Shen Yue laughed like crazy. "Die, Shenting, you have ruined everything for me, then die with me." A piercing scream echoed throughout the restaurant. Someone quickly restrained Shen Yue. As my vision gradually blurred, I saw Shen's mother trembling as she dialed the emergency number, hugging me and crying miserably. I vaguely thought, "I'm not dead yet. Why are you crying so miserably?" It felt really bad in the hospital. I lay on the hospital bed, my eyes lifeless. The people beside me took turns staying by my side. In the morning, the instructor sat by my bed, his face gloomy, as he asked about my condition. Seeing his eyes dark from lack of sleep, I heartbrokenly advised him to go home and rest. In the afternoon, it was Shen Lin's turn. He crossed his legs leisurely, peeling an apple while chatting as if nothing had happened. I really liked his natural appearance, not treating me like a fragile doll. Naturalness was my style. The two of us chatted about everything. Shen Yue had been sentenced. She would probably be in the closet for the rest of her life. He even asked someone to take special care of her, making sure not to leave her alone. Shen's mother knew that I no longer had any good feelings for her. She only bought a few things and quietly left before leaving. She told Shen Lin to take care of me. The conversation gradually became intermittent. I listened until I was half asleep. At this moment, the door to the hospital room opened. I turned my head and saw Yunqi. She timidly poked her head in, her eyes filled with guilt. I immediately understood what she was thinking. I waved her over, gently comforting the girl, whose heart was in turmoil. Finally, I patted her shoulder seriously and asked, "If one day you knew that pursuing justice would hurt you, would you still choose to do it?" Yunqi nodded firmly. I smiled. That's right, no matter what, we will stick to justice until the very end. There will always be injustice in this world, but as long as we persistently protect the right, the world will definitely lean towards the light. When I received the news, I followed the address in the document to Yun Chi's house. It was a dark alley. Old apartment buildings were crowded together. In the hot summer, places like this were always a breeding ground for angry snakes creatures that made people use them. Next to a building so dilapidated that even compared to the surrounding dilapidated houses, it still stood out for its desolation, I came across a girl squatting and sobbing. I curled my lips slightly and strode forward. If you came because of that thesis, I won't reveal it to anyone. Yun Chi wiped her tears, her voice cold. She misunderstood, thinking that I was Shen Yue's accomplice. I smiled slightly. I thought to myself that the girl was really too young, saying that she wouldn't reveal it, but her eyes were filled with resentment and unwillingness. I'm not Shen Yue's accomplice. I smiled and held out my hand. Let me introduce myself. I'm Shen Tenting. Yes, I'm the person you're thinking of. The cold expression on Yun Chi's face immediately shattered her face, unable to hide her panic. The girl tightened her grip on her shirt, stammering, "Judge Yuan." I nodded, but today I really came here because of that thesis. I said seriously, "We have verified that the real author of the essay is not Shen Yue, but you. It is an excellent essay. The idea is extremely creative. Even I was very surprised when I read it. Therefore, I came here to return your innocence." Yun Chi was stunned. The light in her eyes that had just flashed quickly disappeared. She clenched her lips tightly, her knuckles turning white from the force. There was no need. I was truly grateful to the country and the academician for paying attention to this matter, for wanting to help me. But she choked up. It was useless because I had signed the voluntary thesis donation contract. Yun Chi's entire body trembled, tears like broken pearls falling down. Her voice trembled. At first, I didn't want to. That was an essay that I had stayed up many nights to complete. How could I be willing to give it away? But I had no other choice. The very next day, when I refused, she threatened me. I am nothing in front of power and money. She promised to give me enough money to support my mother in her old age. Sorry. She collapsed to the ground, sobbing. I sighed, leaned down to hug her, gently stroked her head, and said softly, "You're not wrong. Yun Chi protecting your family is never wrong, but you're still just a female student who needs to be protected. That's why I came here. No matter what happens, please remember that you are excellent, extremely excellent. As long as you continue to grow, you will amaze the world. And during that process, I and this country will always be by your side. So don't be too harsh on yourself. We will always cherish you." Under my firm assurance, Yun Chi finally decided to try one more time. The girl raised her head to look at me, her eyes shining like stars, exactly like my eyes. When I was first accepted into the physics department by my teacher, that was my lifelong love, my lifelong ideal. With my small strength, I am willing to contribute more light for this country. I smiled and looked towards the abandoned apartment building, ruined. One day, she will leave that dark place. Through her own efforts, she will reach the top. Like me, like all those who are contributing.